kind of get right into it. So if you want to just kind of briefly explain your background, I kind of talked a little bit about your story earlier in the webinar, but if you don't mind, just your background, introduction, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So my name's Rob. I'm 35 or so, and I got into this when I was stuck at home like everybody else during 2020. Saw the Legacy Investment Show keep popping up on my Instagram feed, and Preston going on and on about this Airbnb arbitrage thing. And while I was at home, I just started a new job, and I was like, this is not where the end of the road is. What can I do to take some money and invest it and actually put it to work and do something? So I joined the course, got through all the modules. They were incredibly insightful. When we talk about Preston doing an absolute masterclass on how to do this, I couldn't give it possibly a bigger endorsement. I mean, it is about as legit as it gets. Did all the modules, took some time off to handle a couple personal things, kids, school, a handful of others. But when I got back into it, started hitting the phones, locked up one deal, then locked up another deal, and fast forward to about a year later, which is where we are now. And these things are cash flowing, and like Preston says, it doesn't take a whole lot of work. I mean, you're going to put in some work on the front end, but that's after that's all done. I mean, you just kind of maintain or keep growing, which is what I'm doing.
Love it, man. So let's talk about some of the problems that you faced, when you started this, and how did you overcome those problems? Because of course, everyone kind of runs into issues, no matter what business you start. So how did you overcome those? And let's go from there.
Yeah. So, in terms of, first thing was the properties, and just kind of dealing with locking, getting some deals done. It's really a numbers game, guys. If you've been in sales like Preston or myself, the more people you reach out to, eventually you're going to get a yes. So I just kept calling until, I refined my pitch, and it finally just clicked, and a lot of people were very actually open to it. Surprisingly, you think at first, like, the idea of subletting someone else's house is going to be a kind of hard pill to swallow. A lot of these people are just like, look, as long as I'm getting guaranteed revenue from this, it's not that big of a deal. So the first was just actually finding properties and avoiding the analysis or paralysis by analysis trap. And then once the properties were secured, then it became setting them up. On one, it was already kind of done. They had actually run it as an Airbnb before. So really all I had to do was get in, add a few extra amenities, and make a room, throw a queen bed in it, call it a day. The other one was pretty much like you'd move into a house from scratch, and working through, how do I design this? How do I make this functional? What are the amenities I want to put into it? And, and get it to where it needs to be. We've had a couple, hiccups along the way, just because it's a house. That's where, things will go wrong. Like, literally, I had a guest checking in this weekend, and my cleaner called me and said, one of the kitchen sink is clogged. So I had to scramble, find a plumber, get them over there, and get it all done before the guest checked in. But it's things like these. You get curveballs thrown at you, and they're really not that big of a deal. You eventually just find ways to work through them. So when it pops up again, it's, oh, hey, we've been there, done that. So,
love it, man. So how many hours per week? Because no one ever believes me when I'm like, I literally spend a couple hours per week on this business to maintain it. Like, how many hours a week are you spending on this business now?
So on both of them, even the one here locally, I don't really do a whole lot with. Like, I got cleaners that get in and out of it when it turns over. And that's automated. I use Turno, which is basically a cleaning service platform that integrates with the platform I use, Guesty, for host. And I don't really have to think about it. It's really just kind of, I keep tabs on it. I manage the bookings, and some maybe a couple hours a week. But it's not completely passive, but it's pretty close. Yeah.
Love it, man. Also, I know people like to ask, how much support, because I think a lot of people, and I had the same, when I joined other courses and coaching programs, a lot of the times the community is actually just like a Facebook group, and you're basically just making your post into the internet without any response. So how did the community help you? And what would you have to say about the community in general?
Oh, it's great. It's, there are a lot of people on there that are incredibly driven and hungry, and they want to be successful. So whenever I've had a question, it's literally a wealth of knowledge. You have people from all sorts of different backgrounds, whether it's people that are seasoned investors that are like, hey, I want to try this arbitrage thing, or maybe buy a property and use it for short-term rentals, or people that are brand new. I mean, there are so many people you can learn from. I know I've learned a ton from it. Whether it's just been property reviews or, hey, I ran into a problem here. Has anybody dealt with this? People are always very quick to respond and say, yep, here's what I experienced. Here's how I overcame it. And, try it and see what happens. And it's helped me avoid a lot of headaches for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So Kellen asked, how many total properties are you managing, Rob?
So right now I have 2. I have one here in my hometown, and then I have one that is like several states away. And the one here I got because it was kind of turnkey. And it was also, okay, this is my first one. Like, let's see, how logistically challenging this could be to do. But once that was up and running, I immediately was looking for the next one, because once I had the revenue projections on one, I was like, okay, well, if the math adds up here, then I just need one more, and then maybe another one after that. And then boom, check the box on financial freedom. So the other one that I set up, I ordered everything remotely, had it all shipped in, had a handyman put it together. That actually forced me to go through the remote operator challenges and hurdles, which really weren't that significant. It's just, hey, you have to be able to trust other people and make sure you do your diligence in hiring a team that is familiar with how short-term rentals work, which is what I've got. Everybody I have on my team came from a referral from another operator, or several operators actually. And that team is who I absolutely trust with my property, because I'm not there. So I can't see it. If something goes wrong, I need to have people I can rely on to get over there and handle it.
100%. So, I mean, your properties are absolutely crushing it. So can you share your screen and just kind of guide us through your listings, and let's kind of talk about the revenue breakdowns. I know
sure
the juicy stuff everyone wants to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because this is all good and well until but if you're not putting numbers behind it, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I'm going to get the listings pulled up here, and then I'll walk you guys through some of the revenue stuff. So let's see, turn screen share on, and here we go.
Can you guys see this?
These are the 2 listings I have here. So is that showing up on everybody's end?
Yeah, I can see how mine. You were good.
So let's start with the one here in Louisville, Kentucky, which is where I live. This house is, again, this was relatively turnkey, but I had a photographer come out and really set it up well. It is very centrally located. So for people that come to Louisville and they do the Kentucky Bourbon Tour, this has been a great spot for them. We also have a ton of concerts here throughout the year. Plus we have Derby, which, I mean, we've been completely booked for every single major event. So, I mean, we show off the living room, basically the common areas where people are going to be staying. Let me share this tab. There we go. So we show off the living room, full kitchen, because people want to see the amenities. Can I cook a meal there? Can I make coffee? We've got a full-size kitchen. We've got a trundle bed upstairs. So if just one person's sleeping there, cool. If we want to do 2, we can do that. Queen room, which this is the one I set up from scratch. Got some artwork off Etsy. All of this, I believe, came from Wayfair. Picked up a couple accent pieces from TJ Maxx. King bedroom. Here's the 1 main bathroom, and then the additional halves, dining, laundry, so on. And this is the house. I mean, it's a great place. And if these the owners actually ever decide to sell it, I would probably snatch it up from them. But this one's done very well for us. This was our first one. We got it in January. I think I locked it in October. Tenant moved out in January, and then I went live in February and immediately started getting booked.
Love it, man. So yeah, what are we looking at cash flow wise on this property? I think.
Yep. So I can actually show you. Let's switch over here. So this is Guesty. I'm sure Preston's mentioned that, and if not, this is one of the best channel management platforms out there, because you can compile all your expenses and income and so on, statistics. I mean, it tracks everything, which is great. And so what I like to do is I have my income reports, and I'll show you all the combined one, because this is Grove Getaway. The one we just looked at was Highlands House. And so if I go look at combined, this is for this month in June. So, so in June alone, our gross revenue is going to be 19. Now, obviously, we're going to have some expenses come out of that. Like, they're both arbitrage deals. I have to pay rent, which is about $7K. And then I also take out $2,200 for cleaning fees, platform service fees, et cetera. So my net, that's less the service fee, my net's closer to this. It's accommodation fee over here, and then less, the amount for rent. We're still up about 10K, and that was June, and it's not slowly, it's actually steadily been building. These are both houses combined. Now, if I look at July, which is next month, July jumps up quite a bit to a gross amount of 30K with a net payout of about 27. Again, less rent, which is about $7,000. I walk with 20. It's again, this is about as passive as it gets. There's a little bit of management and maintenance that goes into it, but people are booking these houses. And again, they command such a high rate because of where they are, but also the size. So I can show you, Russ, if you want me to show the other one.
Yeah, go for it.
This one's a bigger house. It also has pretty much every amenity you can possibly shove in one place. And this one is located in an area that is a big travel or a vacation spot for people who live in Atlanta. They go down to St. Simon's. So it's got a pool, hot tub, all sorts of stuff. But it also sleeps quite a few people. So we can get up to 12 guests in here. Obviously, the higher the occupancy, the more you can make. 12 guests, 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. It's a great spot, and it's quite large. And again, this one's been the most work of the two, but it's absolutely been worth it.
Yeah, man. I mean, just like taking a look at these two listings that Rob showed, it's like this is textbook on how you're able to stand up from your competition and get booked, even during this recession and people, calling about all this Airbnb bust stuff. Like these are like actual numbers of what a professional operator, as long as you follow a roadmap, you know where you're doing. Like this is the type of numbers that you can see, which is like $15,000 in cash flow from 2 properties. It's just absolutely insane. So
yeah, I mean, as long as you have a good product, people talk all day about the Airbnb bust. If you have a good product, the ones that are getting killed are the ones that, again, haven't followed a program like this. And for us that are sticking with it and actually doing well, that's fine. We'll let a handful of these people go under, and we'll still have great properties that are going to outperform. And if you follow Preston's course, that's exactly what you're going to get. I mean, these photos here, I actually did 2 photo shoots because the first one was good. But, after talking with Preston, it was, let's show off the pool a little bit more. We had the photographer come back out, take some extra twilight shots after we got these string lights hung up. And, after I posted those, it got 3 bookings. So, I mean, photography sells these things, and, so don't skip on your photos for sure.
Love it, man. So before we wrap this up, thanks for hopping on, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what would you say to someone that's, just kind of dabbling with the idea of starting their business? What would you say to that person?
This is a great opportunity. I mean, seriously, a great opportunity. Airbnb arbitrage. I got into it because I wanted to, get my foot in the door with real estate investing, and ultimately use it as a way to generate cash flow to then buy additional properties and continue this, because the ultimate goal is we want to own these things. So, but this is a great place to start. I wouldn't change anything about what I've done. I think this is a fantastic program. If you're on the fence, I highly encourage you to just take the leap, because I mean, like Preston said earlier, you can sit back a year from now and be like, well, what if? And I know, like, looking a year back from where I am now, I'm so glad I did this, because this forced me to grow in ways that I wouldn't have otherwise. It's forced me to get very familiar with a business that I would have never done otherwise. And this course was the catalyst in getting all that started. So if you're on the fence, I would highly hop on this.
Love it, man. Thanks for sharing the info here. I'm sure this was super helpful for everyone.
Sounds good, guys. See ya.
See ya.